really, I mean, a paperwork, but we have designed, and it is through all the bodies into the academic council, and we are having a 4-year UG program beginning from the session 22-23. In addition to that, we have introduced skill-based courses in all these programs, and these skill-based courses, they will, I'm sure they are going to help us. It took us a lot of time to initiate these skill-based courses in each of our programs. We have these board of studies and faculty boards and finally returned to the academic council, where we have initiated these skill-based courses in our programs. We have also adopted 5 villages which are on paper, but there are many more also, where we are doing a lot of implementation of the policy by improving the literacy rate amongst these villages, and we have a lot of other activities also fulfilling the mission of Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. And I feel, of course, other practices like we have adopted multidisciplinary research and teaching both. And I'm very happy that the Department of Science and Technology has initiated a program, SAIARD. So for that cluster also, Dr. Hari Singh or SAIARD University has started a project worth 30 crores, and I'm sure that we will get through this project also. It will be an example for multidisciplinary research and having a cluster. In our university only, we have 8 research centers which have sophisticated instruments which are promoting interdisciplinary research, not only for the university, but they offer these facilities for other universities also. And we also have a cell which is promoting participation of international students, which is being strengthened right now to promote more students here. And we are also very happy to inform you that just recently, I think a few days back, we had a national conference on implementation of national education policy with respect to Charitra Nirman and Vyaktitva ka Samadra Vikas. Because when we are talking about value-oriented education, it was a perfect example. We had a very good participation of more than 200 participants from all over the country, from over 11 states of the country, and we had a 5 days workshop from a symposium. And we had talks from, not only talks by experts from all over the country, from different universities, chancellors, vice chancellors who participated in this conference, but also we had a workshop where there was a participation of each teacher, principal, or professors who had come from different universities, and we had a feedback mechanism for that also. We had internal tools here also, and participation of students and research scholars also. So that was a very, this is the first of its kind in the entire country when we are talking about implementation of human values, Indian values in our students. And I'm also happy to inform that we have developed 56 of these value-based courses only on Charitra Nirman and Vyaktitva Vikas, and we have done several MOUs with respect to implementation of this national education policy. So I'm very happy that we are discussing these methods here, and of course efforts like this, like implementation of the policy. I'm sure that Dr. Biswajit has this in mind only. He has been planning for this meet since long, and I see there's expert managerial potentials where he has a number of good speakers here also, representatives from the University Grants Commission, representatives from the colleges, universities, and also our Member of Parliament who has been attached to the education system for so long. So I convey my good wishes for the success of this symposium, and I thank Dr. Biswajit for inviting me here. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you, Madam, for your valuable speech. Now I would request Honorable Guest Srimati Pooja Bhaunik, Deputy Secretary, University Grant Commission, Eastern Regional Center, Government of India, to deliver her speech.
A very good morning to the distinguished dignitaries sitting on the dais and my esteemed guests. I thank the chairman of SAIARD for inviting me to the inaugural ceremony of this 7 days national level symposium on the philosophical perspectives of the national education policy. I would like to say a few words on this aspect. Some of my speeches have been borrowed from excerpt of published papers. The Government of India has conceded that the National Education Policy, NEP 2020, is the education policy that has come about after, I think, approximately 30 years. We had the last, the NPE, the National Policy on Education, which was in, I think, 1982, if I'm not wrong, and then it got amended 1986, and then it got amended in 1992. So after that, after a huge gap, there is this, the National the Education Policy, which can be considered path-breaking, dynamic in its way forward, because India is changing, the educational scenario in India is changing, and we assume that the NEP 2020 originated from the philosophy to achieve full human potential, developing an equitable and just society, and promote the national development. The foundation pillars of NEP 2020 are access, equity, quality, affordability, and accountability. It believes that the philosophical purpose or the foundation pillars of NEP 20 it believes that the philosophical purpose is to educate, is to develop good human beings who are capable of rational thought and action, possessing compassion and empathy, courage and resilience, scientific temper, and creative imagination with sound ethical moorings and values. So what we are looking at here is when we have the NEP, the NPE earlier, and what we are bringing out now. We are looking at various aspects which will create accessibility to even those people who could not afford a certain quality of the education system. NEP 2020 aims at producing an engaged, productive, and contributing citizens for building an equitable, inclusive, and plural society as envisaged by the Constitution of India. The vision is to build a global best education system rooted in the Indian ethos, thereby transforming India into global knowledge superpower. Key priorities for NEP 2020 are early childhood care and the education, thereby transforming India into global knowledge superpower. The key priorities of NEP 2020 are early childhood care and education, and increasing the gross enrollment ratio both at the pre and the secondary school level, facilitating the education for disadvantaged groups, and the choice of 3 languages with an option to teach Sanskrit and other classical languages. The major priority for NEP 2020 is to achieve foundational literacy and numeracy. That means the ability to read and write and perform basic numeric operations among all children by 2025 for all future schooling and lifelong learning. FLN is the ability to read with meaning and perform basic math calculations by the end of class 3. Briefly, foundational literacy is the ability to read with meaning, whereas foundational numeracy is having a clear sense of numbers. To achieve FLN objectives, NEP 2020 has mandated to advocate the launch of urgent mission at the national level to overcome the FLN challenges. NEP 2020 also emphasizes understanding the culture of foreign nations on an option, therefore an option of foreign languages to be taught at the secondary level. It also takes the advantage of the demographic dividend. That means the rise in the rate of economic growth due to the rise in the share of the working age population. The predictions are that by the year 2041, India's share of the working age population, that is from 20 to 59 years, will be 59% of the total population. In such a demographic dividend context and in conjunction with the desired economic growth, NEP 2020 also aims at strengthening the labor force by providing high quality educational opportunities across the knowledge landscapes. The overall understanding of NEP 2020 is that it has 5 missions to fulfill. They are foundational learning, universal access to pre-primary education, measuring learning outcomes, integration of technology, and enabling the environment for the private schools. Over and above, NEP 2020 is in complementing and achieving the lofty goal laid down by the education system of SDG 4 on the bottom line as outlaid in NEP 2020. That is to meet the interest of the nation in terms of the economic growth, social justice, quality, scientific advancement, national integration, and the cultural preservation. More particularly to meet the demand and supply needs of the demographic dividends in adherence to constitutional obligations. So I feel that the education sector, it's an exciting time to be in the education sector because things are so drastically going to change. Of course, you can just imagine that after nearly 30 years, there's a NEP policy that has come into place. The whole school system is changing, the level, the 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, if I'm not wrong, that is also going to be there. Then you have, there's a lot of flexibility given to the student in terms of he can join after if he has a break due to some financial hardship or due to anything. The student is given a chance to join back in the second year at a later stage or in the third year. So these kind of dynamic changes, I would say, dynamic flexibility shows the future ahead, the path-breaking way we are going to, the education setup is going to change. Then you have the academic bank credits, that is if if a student is wanting to continue in a different college, or so everything, whatever he does, from a diploma to a certificate to degrees, everything will be added up in his the academic credit bank. So one of the other high points of the NEP 2020 is that the multidisciplinary approach. Earlier it was very rigid in terms, the parameters of the education systems were considered to be pretty rigid. The marking system was very strict, especially for a state like West Bengal. There have been numerous instances where I have seen that the students of this particular state, they kind of do not get the advantage of any national scholarship because our marking system is so strict. If you compare to any scholarship list for the other states, and you will very rarely see students from West Bengal because unfortunately the marking system is so strict out here. So I think that's going to change also. The marking system is going to change. The flexibility given to the student, there will be a lot of flexibility given to the student There will be the academic bank credits, the scores, the credit scores, the point system, the multidisciplinary approach where you are not going to be, it is not going to be a rigid way of teaching learning. So all this, I think it's, and the research, from the research point of view also, now you have in the courses, you will have 1 year which is dedicated solely to the research side, even at the basic college level. So I think, and what do students actually want at the end of the day when they, when they enroll themselves for a degree? They would like not only to earn that degree, yes, of course, that is in our way of life, earning degrees and all is very important, but changing that into an employable tool also. So that is one of the points which the NEP 2020 will be looking at, is how putting it more skills, more training, relearning, learning. So it is also going to focus on how whatever knowledge you have gathered through your degrees, how is that going to help you to earn your bread and butter? How is the education system going to form you, going to guide you, going to make you plan for a better future? So all this will help in the preparedness of a child when he has to tackle his future goals. So I think the symposium out here on the national education policy, though all of us out here have a fairly vast idea, these type of seminars that you conduct will give us also the thought process from other distinguished people who are in the scenario of building the future of India through the education system. So I am happy that such a the symposium out here is taking place. It sheds light. It gives us various viewpoints of different people out here, and I hope that we take the learnings from this seminar, from this workshop, this symposium. We take the learnings and we go back with more of an understanding of this wave that is going to take over the current scenario in India. So thank you, sir, for inviting me out here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam, for sharing your deep knowledge. Now I would request our honorable guest, Dr. Mohua Mukherjee, Professor, Rabindra Bharati University, and famous dancer and founder of Gaudiya Nritya Bharati, to deliver her speech in this occasion.
Good morning, and after Sharad Utsav, the ceremony of autumn, we are here. Respected dignitaries and the guests, and Saraswat Samaj from all over India, the dignitaries on dais, I feel proud and honored that Dr. Bishwajit Rai Chaudhary invited me, and I became a part of this venture. South Asian Institute for Advanced Research and Development, SAIARD, has organized such a wonderful national level symposium on philosophical perspective of national education policy in association with Indian Council of Philosophical Research, Ministry of Education, Government of India. So, my brother like Bishwajit is a pilot of this venture. So, and we are all in the same boat. The new national education policy is based on 4 pillars, as already Pooja Madam has mentioned that, which are access, equity, quality and accountability. What I feel, national education policy focusing on upliftment of the society, the research activities and giving impetus to interdisciplinary activities also. The patriotic feelings, we have already completed our 75 years of independence. So patriotic feelings, global knowledge, classical language, as well as classical performing arts, national integration, the bondage, the fellow feeling, and cultural diversity and development. This, and at the same time, it's focusing for employment also. SAIARD is also a part of that venture. So I am from the discipline of dance, already mentioned. Gauriya Nritya. Gaur means name of ancient Bengal. The dance forms of Bengal, which is more than 2000 years old. After 1947, an urge for searching out a regional cultural identity reared its head all over India. And gradually, one by one, today's classical dance forms emerge out, like Bharatanatyam, Kathakali, Kathak, etc., one by one. And lastly, in the year 2002, Kshatriya of Assam. As our own cultural legacy, the emergence of Gauriya Nritya is but a natural outcome of that surge. As Tagore has told, quote, music and fine arts are the best media of national self-expression. The country which does not have its own music or arts remains inarticulate forever. Deep in the heart of this universe of creation and immanent with it, this is a kind of throbbing of life. Music conveys to us a feeling of the heart throb of universal harmony. Life of man as a whole forms part of the great symphony. The sun, the moon, the planets and the stars, the trees and the harps, all of them contribute their own tune to this great music of universe. Universalism, which is one of the major part of NEP, global. So universalism is the keynote of our Indian music, the note of detachment. So, and Swami Vivekananda also echoed in the same tune. He narrated that education is the manifestation of perfection. Dance gives us the complete education of the perfection. Gauriya Nritya is completely dwelt upon the Bengal's literature, architecture, sculpture, drama, painting, music, history, rhythm means mathematical calculation, Shastra or our ancient treatise, etc. This dance form is an art is made primarily for spiritual expression with historical evidences. Life of man as a whole forms part of great symphony of this universe. From the beginning of the history, man has striving to harmonize his every word, everyday speech with the eternal message of nature, and which gives the rhythmic part of life. Already I mentioned, framed by that four pillars, again, access, equity, quality, and accountability. It's not easy and deeply immersed in philosophical thoughts. I am concluding Rabindranath Tagore's one line. He expressed, as a student of dance and music, I am quoting that. When I see the world as a song, I know and comprehend him the best of all. Then the language of his love fills the sky with light. Then every particle of dust speaks to me with his voice. His voice. So, this type of national symposium will boost up us and show us a new avenue, I hope. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam, for your thought-provoking speech. Now I would request Honorable Guest Professor Jayanto Chaudhary, Professor, Tripura University, Tripura, and founder, Global Forum for Sustainable Rural Development, to deliver his speech.
Good afternoon, everybody. Before I go for my short speech, I would like to congratulate Dr. Vishwajit Rajwari, is the founder of SAIARD, and particularly this is a very important issue when we are talking about the development of our country and other. Is new education policy we are expecting it can create a lot of good things. We have a lot of expectation. Before I start again, I would like to congratulate all the guests here who are available in the, our dais. Our honorable guest, Srimati Pooja Bhumi, and Dr. Moma, and also with us Dr. P.K. Mishra, Principal, Surya Sen Mahavidyalaya, Siliguri, and our person. Lot of discussion already have made. Again, our Honorable Vice Chancellor discussed about the new education policy, ma'am, on education policy from the UGC perspective, what we are thinking, and that main document of the new education policy, it is already available in the net, so I am not going that much elaboration of new education policy. But if you go through that, expecting that you will go through the new education policy is not only thinking for the India as a whole, but if you go through that, you can see that new education policy is also going to address the global sustainable development goal 2030. You know, there are 17 goals, and out of that SDG 4 is sustainable development goal 4 is basically addressing to the quality education. And if you analysis or go through our new education policy, that you can see that this new education policy is at par of that global goal of 2030, SDG 4. And that SDG 4, the different component of SDG 4, it is clearly captured or addressing to the SDG goal 4. SDG goal 4, you can see that there are different components. Like component of SDG 4.2 is the indicator, the equal access to quality of the pre-primary education. And you see that our pre-primary education, when there was earlier our Deputy Secretary was also discussing, there was some gap in the earlier education policy, and it was started basically from primary level. But the new education policy is going to start from the pre-primary level, which is as per of our international or the global goal SDG 2030. Similarly, if you see that another goal of SDG 4.3, that is also mentioning the equal access to affordable technical and vocational education. The major thrust of new education policy is also that vocational education. Everywhere it is coming as the students with degree or the student as employability degree. This is important. And nowadays, almost every university is going to thrust on those aspects. What kinds of vocational course they can learn, what kinds of skill-based course they are learning. Almost in the new education policy, you can see that every course curriculum, there are some components that you have to choose some skill-based thing that can enhance not only your knowledge, but also they are going to make you ready for the job market. New things are also coming. I am from, already mentioned that I am from Tripura University. I am heading, it is a central university. I am heading the Department of Rural Studies. Though I am from West Bengal, from Bolpur Shanti, today I came here. And I am also, as brought up in West Bengal, and as the Board of Directors, Bandhan Financial Services Limited for last almost 12 years. So very much here, but in Tripura what we have done in the vocational field, you know the northeastern states are famous for bamboo. In 2006 we have started the course on post-graduation diploma in bamboo cultivation and resource utilization. This is the first time in course in world itself. And I am happy to share this information that in the coming month I am going to Africa to launch a similar course in 3 countries in Africa under the sponsorship of INBA. So thing is, the new education policy is emphasizing on those aspects. Recently we have also started a course on rubber technology. You know, after Kerala, Tripura is one of the famous for the rubber. Why I am trying to mean you, it can be taken as a recommendation also from this forum that every university should meet the need of the local knowledge, local resources, local demand, local issues. And university earlier only we are emphasizing only on the knowledge. It is not that. Now that time has come. I used to tell something on that, the model as a butterfly model of teaching. Nowadays the teacher should be the butterfly. You know, the butterfly means there will be 4 wings. 4 wings like. The first wing is that teaching. What we are doing as a teaching, as a teachers. But the second wing is the research. Until the teaching and research is blamed to that, it can't survive. The third one, another wing is the practice. What we are doing in the research and what we are teaching in that should be practice. Nowadays, if you see that every university, they are starting with that village adoption. 5 villages and other, some or other. And that new term, obviously, ma'am can tell in detail, the new education policy also coming on there, community engagement. So teachers and students is not confined within the classroom. They have to take part of the local issues, local problems, local challenges. What we are trying to mean that new education policy is not only addressing the issue of global SDG 2030, but it is also addressing the local issues. Until and unless the universities are ready, whatever your subject, it may be geography, it may be history, it may be the other subject, you have a bigger role to the community. You have to go to the community. Until and unless you are coming to the community, this new education policy is nowhere. It should not be confined within the school. So our new education policy, there may be a lot of controversy, because new education policy, the education till now is a state subject, right? So there may be some controversy, central, state, wherever it will applicable or not applicable, I will take it, I will not take it. There is a lot of controversy, but there is no controversy. The new education policy is going to cater the link both the global as well as the local issues, local challenges, and we have to be ready. We as a teacher, earlier our role was only teaching and this. Now we are not at all a teacher. We are facilitator. We are basically mentor. We are basically supervisor. That it is not our duty within class hours, but beyond that also we have to take responsibility. And fourth wing, what I mentioned you, that another wing is the social responsibility. It is our moral duty now that we have to put this input to our student, that it is not your subject, but how you are going to apply your subject to the community, how your subject can play. So different community engagement activities must be there. And here I am standing in the subject as a rural development, which is directly linked with the rural areas. Now we are not only facilitating in our university, but we are facilitating tying up with the different departments. Say for example, in our university, there is a vermicompost unit they have made from the Department of Zoology. Now the vermicompost, as a recently NAC visit was there, they were very impressed. But the thing is, the vermicompost unit, how it will bring to the village, that extension will do. Now our department is ready for that. So we are doing with that. Recently, with the support of district magistrate of that one of the district, we are going to local, model SDG village, now new SDG village, where all these aspects are coming. Now, if you go to that another aspect, that apart from the vocational and this, SDG 4.4, which is mentioning that increase the number of people with relevant skill for financial success. What I mentioned earlier also, it is not a degree for your showcasing something, but a degree having some market value. Lot of courses are being offered, but the time has come how you can rethink or reconstruct the structure or the syllabus or the nomenclature of your course. It is now become very important. Say for example, earlier it was a history as a course. Now we are trying to make the history and tourism together. Until and unless you are making the history and tourism as a course, lot of potentiality everywhere. Either it's West Bengal, either it's Northeastern, Tripura and other states, because Tripura is a gateway with Bangladesh and other things. So a lot of tourist places people are coming. So earlier history you are thinking only for the school or the college and other as a job opportunity. Sometimes when people are talking about the history, no future. But no, there is a lot of future. Without knowing history of that any region or the development history, you can't survive. But the time has come how you can link with the history with the other subjects. That is the important. So history and tourism now are going to catch up. These courses